the world with a 1-0 victory for TLID. We're going straight into the draft because these teams will not wait to get at each other's throats. Onyx PH on the blue side, Team Liquid ID on the red side. We got the Turner and Miracle with us once again. Let's take us through the second half of this draft.
Yeah, we're going in way past everything already. Already into the second phase right now. We can already see the bans coming through into the second phase. And we did mention about blue side, red side earlier on. And it looks like Onyx PH have actually opted to go for blue side this time around.
And what's crazy is the fact that Liquid ID have not picked up a jungler. So the Suyo has been picked up by Onyx PH, obviously. Blue side, first pick. That's the Suyo, OP hero, as SDL said. Onyx PH take it away, but they still stick to the Kalea. So they're thinking maybe this time they're going to be able to win out the early game with the Kalea. It's a Suyo, Kalea, Harith, first 3 picks. Liquid ID got what they wanted as well, I believe, but the Joy ban surely will be the final ban for Onyx PH, right?
I mean, the thing is about Fabian is that he has a lot of heroes that he can bring up as well. Technically, Lucas is an option for him to pick up. Hayabusa. He's also picked up the Alpha in certain occasions, as well as the Ling.
I think, oh man, I think it's really scary when you're up against a Kalea and you're thinking like Alpha, you're thinking like Ling as well. Yes, they have burst. Ling technically has iframes, but do you want to risk it for the biscuit against a Kalea who could just grab you and you don't have access to Purify because you're a jungler? You have to take Retreat.
Yeah, that's where the Hanzo will be. You know, the best choice up against a Kalea, you get Tsunami Slam. Ha, it's not me. That's my shadow. Or the Joy that could actually try to electrifying beats out of there. You have a few dashes, so there are more ways to counterplay. Maybe Lancelot would have a way to like, you don't see me, but even then it's tough. Once you get some, you gotta time it perfectly. It's kind of like a Suyo's first skill kind of thing, you know? You gotta blink at the right time before the Tsunami Slam picks you up and slams you back in the ground.
How much of a banger would it be if he gets access to Lancelot in a high stakes match against Onyx PH of all teams? Do you really want to put yourself at that? Well, I don't want to say mechanical disadvantage, but the possibility of making more mistakes mechanically within the series itself.
And that concerns me because for the past few games that TLID have been able to win, it's always Fabian that's the deciding factor. So whatever gets put onto him is going to be so important to the success of the overall team.
Wow, what a combination that Onyx PH has right now. That's going to be a really tough team fight. I mean, obviously, the tanks might just struggle with the Jushin. But Jushin can only pick up a couple of people at a specific point of time unless you have the ult in the middle of them. But that puts you in danger.
Oh, man.
There you go.
Ling.
The fact that they didn't secure the jungler in the first phase gives me an inkling as to the setup for this Ling in the first place.
We'll just have to wait and see. I don't know. I think this is a really risky draft coming in from TLID. But hey, you gotta roll the dice here and there. Gotta spice things up, especially against Onyx PH, who are out for blood. They want to win this series. They want to get that free buy to save themselves a best of 5.
Wow, dude. They have so much physical damage. I don't think Jusin can stand alone as the sole damage dealer in Magic, right? So you have a Phobius, Ling, and Granger. Onyx PH have crazy amounts of damage there as well. And they have 2 really good tanks. Godot being an amazing one up against physical damage.
Yeah, no, a really great answer to this. I love the adjustments coming in from both of these teams. Maybe TLID have been pushed into a corner. We'll have to see once we start getting into the game. Eterna and Miracle, it's up to you guys to call the action as we head on over to game number 2.
And let's get it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Snapdragon Mobile Masters. We're getting into our second game of this best of 3, and the big question is, can TLID once again, can they do it? Can they rewrite history? Can they pick up their second win of history against Onyx Philippines right now, as we are seeing that Super Friends is getting a little bit aggressed on in the mid lane.
Oh, Blazer's coming down. Oh, forcing to Purify out from Yehezkiel. Another shot now from Prince 2 with the Void Blast. And we're back to even on the board in the mid lane. Yehezkiel will have to pop in that regen. Rupture, Wilderness Blessing for Yehezkiel. It's all about staying active on the map and utilizing the Ling kill pressure in the early game. Aaron versus Kelra up top for the Gold Crab. Brusco scouting out Fabian, stopping him from getting level 4 early.
And that's the big question, right? I mean, against all assassins, as a general rule, we'd like to see a little bit more aggression into the enemy jungle. And we are seeing a little bit of that by Onyx PH, but not so much as to really stop Fabian in his tracks. And we are headed to a pause, ladies and gentlemen, so we do have a little bit more time to talk about the compositions that both of these teams have committed to.
Well, thank God. I want to talk about the composition so very badly here because, again, 2 tanks, and obviously with Jushin on their side, it will come down to who can really, like, disrupt that front line, who can really, like, kick him in the shins enough to force that reaction.
That's a good question.
I'm looking at Mirko. He's
thinking.
debating about this. He's just like, okay, there's the possibility that everybody's going to get screwed over once the box comes back out.
Yeah.
And then do you continue to push the lead from then on, or do you just call it off once the box is down?
See, there are 2 boxes. One of the boxes being an arrow, Zaman Force. You fight in that, you're done. I feel like it's impossible to go for the dive there. Again, up against the Harith with items later on too. The Ling will be the prey, and the Harith will be the hunter at that point, right? So, man, I don't know, it's just really tough. On top of that, Brusco, again, could just save the Tsunami Slam too. He doesn't even need to save it. Phobius walks up early on, gets Tsunami Slam back to the team. For the longest time, that has been a way to counter the Phobius. You go for CC tools, like the Vexana, usually. You Terrify, Eternal Guard right as he jumps in, and then you have the whole team punish him.
Well, this is on the assumption that they're able to chain CC upon chain CC, right? And they've only got 3 heroes who can technically do that, 2 of which very reliable, 1 of which you probably want to hold back for just a little bit longer. So it depends on Rod on how he kind of plays that out execution-wise, because technically, if given the opportunity, given the window, he can buy that extra bit of time with the Infernal Pursuit. Maybe that's where we see the turnaround here. However, what I will give Onyx PH is, yes, they can technically set up the box, but they can also disengage from it as well. As easy as it is to engage, they can just walk away from the fight just the same.
That's why the Gatot pick is just so brilliant coming in from Onyx PH, to be able to utilize that in both scenarios. And that's why, I don't know, why did they opt to go for this Ling pick?
They had no other choice, right?
They had the Lucas. Does the Lucas not work as well in this composition?
Technically, yes, with the CC immunity, so you're not as scared as the Kalia, and then possibly winning out early fights against Suyo, but that's kind of it. Once the Lord starts to spawn, you need your whole team. You can't just juggle it without committing your ult.
Yeah, you're even more early dependent than a Ling, right? At least for the Ling, mid to late, you do really well. You actually do better mid to late compared to the early game. But for Lucas, you're all in. With this kind of composition, you go all in. You already have a Phobius, a Juicin, and Hylos. You go for the Lucas too. Boom, you're a complete early game composition who is dependent on like a 2,000 goal lead by 4 minutes.
Well, without much to say, I'll give it to you guys. Good luck for this game number 2.
All right, we're going back in, ladies and gentlemen. 1 minute and 20 seconds has elapsed. We are still back in game number 2 between Onyx PH versus TLID, and we're gonna see exactly how this pans out. We can only assume what can happen, but only the players will be able to execute it.
Okay, back at it again into the land of Dawn. In Console Sever over to Witty. Void Blast to Witty, taking a beating on the horse.
Okay, and he's actually going to force in a recall. So that's a little bit more time for Onyx PH to play with in this early start of the game. We're hitting that 2-minute mark. Turtle has not spawned just yet, and there it is. Very quick, Onyx PH on it first.
Should be a free one again for the Ling. You do not want to contest for the first few neutral objectives usually. You got to farm up, wait for you to get... Even then, they didn't contest the turtle, but they're still struggling to go for the purple buff here. Aran trying to help out there. Gets caught by Brusco quite a bit. Onyx PH not going to commit fully on here. Crick is brought back again. Or use AOG, gets cancelled and taken out. First blood to Liquid ID.
So technically, Onyx PH didn't really have to force that fight, right? And they do give a kill over to TLID to kind of trade in for the neutral objective that they were unable to get their hands on. And it makes sense, right? They're against the Suyo. A lot more prowess in around the neutral objectives as compared to Fabian, who was forced on the Ling. But again, Onyx PH right now, not so much aggression as I was expecting them to have. Is it because they're on the Kalea and the Gatot?
It's just the fact that TLIDs have ways to keep them at bay. Again, the Juicin, the Hylos, the Phobias are great in the early game, and that's why they went for the Ling. They wanted to have someone who could carry them in the mid to late once he gets his items, and it all comes down to how good, how well he farms in the early game. That's why you saw the whole team just corral around Fabian as he went for the purple buff earlier, because had Onyx PH stopped that purple buff take, it could have been real bad. It would have stopped what TLID have in mind in their win conditions.
Oh, and they don't get the gold crab either. Brusco goes back in.
Tsunami Slam, that's the punish onto the Phobius. Fabian looking for the pick over to Super Prince, jumps in with the Defiant Blades, but not enough damage in the early game. Aran already taken down, Thames Blades coming down as well. Super Prince, oh, Fabian does not get the second blade, it's on the wall. Finally finds it, but will just be quelled and sliced by Mr. King Kong. A Purify baited out from Yehezkiel.
Huge outplay. Super Prince gets out as well, and Fabian is the one that gets traded in. Say goodbye to the purple buff, as King Kong is already quick on it as well. So even more disadvantages coming through for TLID in the first 4 minutes of the game. And this was the concern. Meanwhile, in the top lane, you can see that Kelra is having a much better time on the Harith against the Granger as well in the lane.
You hate to see it, man. To all the link players out there, you know how it feels. To pop into Tempest of Blades, having your blade on the wall, and getting stopped by that wall, not getting the reset. But it just happened here. Happens to the best of us, even Flavor Fave. King Kong and the Suyo, though, just the old reliable 2-0 start. Perfect turtle so far. And we saw what we were talking about for Aran and the Phobius. It's as easy as that for Brusco to just lift him up, slam him back in the ground.
Yeah. Very difficult for him to find his proper entry, and that's a big problem because that's how Aran usually functions. So now TLID have to figure out a way very quickly in order to combat around this. Kirk, though, gets punished.
Stunned up again, AOG gonna be cancelled, but actually works in favor of Onyx PH. Going back in with a Revitalized Witty, looking for the play. That's a Tsunami Slam over to Fabian. Thames Blades used up one more time. This time, it's King Kong again who deals with him with the help of Super Prince. Witty falling as well. Kirk very low, but Aran unable to chase. King Kong looking for the Blade Surge up top. It's gonna be a turret taken by Kelra. No, not just yet. A flicker out. Aaron Chiki looking for the kill in the bottom lane. Aran does survive that skirmish. Aaron doing a good job at keeping that turret alive.
Yeah, but it's only like a hit away of coming down, right? The inevitability of the Granger and the Harith matchup as well in the gold lane is something that is to be expected. But going back to Flavor Fave, man, he must be so frustrated at this point, right? He's usually been able to weave in and out of these team fights, but here he isn't. I mean, well, another engage.
Stun over to Super Prince. Witty gonna be caught. Has it revitalized. Now it's gonna be Aran jumping in with the Infernal Pursuit. Looking for more, but the Tsunami Slam knocks him down. Witty falls. That's Aran falling from the skies as well. As Brusco gets up with the conceal. Oh no, Fabian unable to claim the Blaze. King Kong with AOG. Kirk follows up. One last shot. Queller from King Kong to get a monster kill. Wiping Liquid out.
In the 6th minute. In the 6th minute of the game. I mean, sometimes we see wipes out maybe later on in the game, but it's been 6 minutes. This just really reflects how unfortunate TLID are playing right now, and Onyx PH are claiming control all over the map. The fact that TLID keep fighting back, is this the wisest way to approach this game?
I don't know. When I saw the drafts, I had the same thought in my mind. What do? They just lay back and go game 3, take the first pick again, and go for Suyo. Because really, the Ling pick... Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For Liquid ID, it was very ambitious, maybe a bit too ambitious. They technically just have to fight. I mean, maybe they could have, you know, played it a bit slower, sent the Ling over to the side lanes. But the thing is, on a Granger, you want to have gold as well. You want to build up the stack. So even then, I think about it and you can't even do that. You either sacrifice the Granger or the Ling.
I mean, at this point, what's the choice, right? The Ling is falling so far behind in gold. He's 3 levels below.
Tsunami Slam. Kirk holding his own. AOG gonna be... Oh, that damage from King Kong with the Soul Sever. Gets away from the Tempest of Blaze. Forces the Finch Poise. Kelra Zaman Force taking him down from the wall. A double onto Witty. Super Prince picks up a killing spree, and they're gonna wipe TLID out one more time. Slowly but surely, Kelra walking up for that final shot. Aaron Shiki, he's been untouchable in game 1, but in this game, 2 deaths.
As if one time wasn't enough, Onyx PH come into the second game with a second wipeout. Ladies and gentlemen, only scars of 2 minutes. Imagine the dominance here for Onyx PH. And again, Fabian on the Ling has not found the proper moment, the proper opening, and he gets so punished every time he goes in and dives. This is a 4-level gap between Fabian and King Kong. So if we're looking for a moment of return, what is it? Neutral objective definitely not in favor of Onyx PH. It's bad enough if the Fabian is the same level, but with 4 levels behind, they need to pray for like a huge mistake from Onyx PH at this point.
And that's something very, very strange to wish for, right? I mean, you can't really wish for Onyx PH to make a mistake like that. When was the last time you saw Onyx PH make a mistake like that? I think it was up against Omega in MPL Season 14 regular season before when their 14-0 win rate got cracked by Omega. It was on the Alpha. It was a team that had to play together as 5, and Omega were able to split up the map. Liquid ID, looking at their composition, they do have the tools to do it. They have a Ling to split up the map, but I think they're just far too behind. King Kong walks up, Queller gets 3 members to half, forcing a regen out of Aaron Shiki. Man, a snowballing Suyo, that's what it looks like.
606 KDA right now. Only 3 deaths for the side of Onyx PH, and it's on Brusco and Kirk. Kelra untouched. Super Inference as well, untouched. And look at the dominance going into the enemy jungle. Absolutely no problem. I think Fabian was still able to walk away with the orange buff. But that's just about it, right? They used the Retribution earlier, unable to get the contest on the neutral objective. And Fabian can only play Annabelle.
Right now, Liquid ID can only just look for farm, look to trade on the map on the ball. Did you say play Annabelle?
Yeah.
Is that the Annabelle playstyle?
That's the Annabelle playstyle.
That's pretty true right now. And technically, that's the only thing Fabian can do right now. He can just only Annabelle it out. He's going to be able to hold out the Lord, but will his team be able to hold out for Onyx PH is the question. They have really good tools to dive in, to utilize the real-world manipulation. King Kong's been sent down below to escort this Lord over to the base. That's a tier 2 in the mid lane taken down. They will be able to wait for the next wave here, 40th second to spawn, and then they'll form another 3-wave push. Hopefully, for them, they would want to try to get those base turret holy defenses, but they won't be able to do it. Only the bottom lane. So, best case scenario for Onyx PH, at the minimum, they will probably get a base turret here. Minimum base turret.
And it sucks because TLID committed with the Jushin as well for their mid laner, so they don't have as much wave here as you would want as compared to something like the Yve or the Farsa or the Vexana. So that hit inhibitor turret does get taken down in the bottom side of the map. The shield in the mid lane is still standing, but the one up top I think goes as well. So they're still holding on to what inevitably might be their demise. Fabian in no man's land doesn't get caught out just yet. Still looking for opportunities to buy more time for his team to get to that power spike.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, that lead.
A 5,000 gold lead between the junglers. The Ling is starving. He's only got an Azure Blade at 11 minutes. Not even an endless battle completed. And oh man, he's going for the purple buff. He's gonna have to wait for it. I think he'll get it. Oh no, he won't. He has to recall. He has to help the team.
We're looking at a 10,000 gold gap, ladies and gentlemen, between both of these teams.
RWM coming down. Kelra putting himself in front as well as Mount 4 is going to be ready. He will be able to pop it and say goodnight to Witty. King Kong holding his own in front of Pursuit out of range. King Kong gets away as Kelra wipes them in the back, getting a triple. Yehezkiel and Fabian. Good night in Game 2. There's nothing they can do about Game 2 going to the hands of Onyx Philippines.
1-1. These two teams have faced each other many times, but this has been one of the fastest games we've seen here on stream. As Onyx PH showing their dominance this time round.